So we'll take a little bit of time to warm up and get ready, and then we'll get into them. And then, like I said, that little bit of challenge at the end of that second flow when we get there. So meeting in that child's pose, I'm just gonna make sure everyone's on mute here. It's like, sounds like a lot of you are. Okay, let's get going. All right, so like I said, starting off in that child's pose. So the knees can be a little bit wider than the hips. I like to bring my big toes together behind me, sitting the hips back towards the heels, and then taking those arms out nice and long in front. And we're gonna take a couple moments, just nice and easy at the start. But I want to invite you, if it feels good, to walk the hands side to side a little bit, to maybe bring the forehead down to the mat and the arms around behind, or fold the elbows and bring the hands to the shoulders, finding just kind of a more comfortable position or a little bit of range of motion if that feels good for you. If just sitting it back into child's pose is what feels good for you, I want to invite you to just find this for a couple of moments here. We're going to take about 4 nice deep breaths, and as you do that, I just want you to start to bring your attention into your body. Bring your attention into how it's feeling, how this pose feels, how you felt when you got up from your desk for the first time this afternoon. And notice how your breath feels from this position. Are you breathing a little bit shallower than you might normally as we get started? And try and be mindful of that, allowing yourself to create a little bit of space for the lungs. So that's why those knees are nice and wide, so you can really expand as you inhale. And then from here, if you're not already, I want to invite you to start to walk those hands side to side, bringing them over to the left side of that mat, finding a little bit of extra length through the right side of the body. And then as it feels good, you can hold for a couple of moments, or you can just kind of keep moving it side to side. I'll let you know when we're at about halfway here, so that if you do want to find that hold in one direction, you will know when to switch and hit that second side. So finding a couple more nice deep breaths here, and then if you are finding that hold in one direction or the other, I want to invite you to take it to that second side, maybe over to the right, find that hold over there, or maybe you keep just moving it nice and easy, side to side, walking through center, finding that little bit of extra length down one side or the other. Either of those options, go ahead and find 2 more nice deep breaths here. And after that second, just bringing those hands back to center, back to that nice, easy, neutral child's pose. Now from here, we are going to kind of start to move. So I want you to, as usual, be gentle with yourself, because often we do take a little bit more time on the mat before we start to flow. So if you need a little extra bend in your knees, or if the spine needs a little extra space, just allow yourself that leeway. So from here, we're going to do kind of a 3-directional flow. We're going to move from our child's pose to our low cobra. We're going to move from our low cobra to a nice easy down dog, and then we'll move from the down dog back to our child's pose. So from here, all I'm going to have you do is bring those hips forward. Maybe you'll bring those knees in towards the center just a little bit closer, bringing the hips down to the mat, and then choose the form of cobra that feels good. So if down here is good for you to start, which is certainly for me today, find that. If you need a little more stretch, maybe start to press up towards those palms. From here, I want you to really start to brace through your core, turn your toes under, and then you can either press back with the knees down and then lift the hips, or from here, if you have that nice core brace, you can lift up and back. So just really briefly into this downward facing dog with a nice bend through those knees, taking a couple of moments here to pedal out those heels for just a second, starting to get those shoulders warmed up. And then nice and easy right here, go ahead and set those knees down and sit those hips back towards the heels, back into that child's pose once again. So we're going to do that just a couple more times through. With that next inhale, I want you to press those hips forward, bring them down towards the mat. And then once again, find that range of motion that feels good. So maybe you bring it down and just lift the head and shoulders up. Maybe you press up into those palms. Same thing, brace through that core, turn those toes under, and then either bringing those knees down first or bringing those hips up and back. Transition into that downward facing dog. Once again, take that nice bend in those knees if you need it. Take a second to pedal out those heels. And then with that next exhale, nice and easy, set those knees down, bring those hips back towards the heels once again. We're gonna do this twice more through, so stick with me here. Next time you exhale, go ahead and press those hips forward. Once again, finding that intensity that works for you. If it's starting to feel a little bit better here, maybe you lift a little bit further. When you're ready, turn those toes over with that next exhale. Press those hips up and back into that downward facing dog. Maybe those legs lengthen a little bit more. Maybe you can spend a little bit more time with that lengthened leg, pressing one heel down and then the other. And next exhale, go ahead and nice and easy, set those knees down. Last time that we're moving through this here, so just briefly press those hips back towards the heels. Next exhale presses them forward. Once again, still finding that intensity that works. So if you're still down closer to the floor, totally fine. And then turn those toes over, press those hips up and back into our downward facing dog. Now from here, we're gonna bring it to hands and knees. So we're gonna nice and easy exhale to set those knees down once again. But this time we're not gonna set those hips back. We're gonna keep the hips right over those knees. Now if you need to walk those hands in a little bit like I did to bring them underneath the shoulders, go ahead and do that, rearrange. We're gonna move into our cat-cow. That inhale presses the chest and the belly towards the floor and lifts the spine or the tailbone and the head up towards the ceiling. The exhale turns that spine over, lifts it up towards the ceiling, presses the chin towards the chest and the tailbone down. Go ahead a couple times, flow in each direction here into our cat and cow. Couple nice deep breaths. Making sure that while you're in this position, those fingertips are spread nice and wide, and we've got a little pressure through all 10 of them, so all of the pressure is not in those wrists. We're not already stressing them out here early in our practice. Taking a couple more moments, give me 2 more nice deep breaths in our cat and cow here. After you finish those last 2 deep breaths, go ahead and bring that spine back to that nice easy neutral position. Those knees are right under the hips, the wrists are right under the shoulders. Spinal twist to get us moving before we get into our first flow. So right hand inhales to reach up towards the ceiling. We're gonna start with just a couple flows back and forth. So exhale, bring it almost all the way down. Don't quite set the shoulder down. Little spinal twist, and then inhale to lift back up. At the end of this, we will take a little pause for that deeper version of this spinal twist. So for here, just go ahead and keep moving with your breath. Those exhales twist us under, those inhales lift us up. Now, if you're feeling this already a little bit through the wrist on that left side, you can modify a little bit by bringing that elbow down and finding that spinal twist from that little bit lower of a position. If the wrists are feeling good, you can stay up nice and high. Go ahead and find 2 more nice deep breaths here. At the end of that second one on that exhale, I want you to set the shoulder down. We're going to move into our hold on this spinal twist side. So that last inhale brings us up tall, and then as we exhale, the shoulder comes down to the mat. Now this left arm can do a couple of different things. You can take it out long, so it's a little bit deeper of a stretch here. You can leave it in, nice and easy right where it was, or you can take it up towards the ceiling, bend at the elbow and find that half bind around behind the back to really deepen through that stretch. So you're really opening the shoulders towards that left wall. If that's not comfortable, I invite you to just bring it back out nice and long, or maybe just set it down right next to that hand that's curled under. Go ahead and take 2 more nice deep breaths in this position. Any of those options with that left hand. When you finish those 2 breaths, we're going to come back to neutral, and then we're going to switch sides. So after you finish that last breath, that next inhale brings us back up onto that right hand. And then we're going to just move to that left side, same exact thing. Our inhale lifts us up nice and tall. Our exhale twists us most of the way under. We've got that nice little range of motion here, back and forth, finding that spinal twist, getting the spine ready to go. Awesome. Give me 1 more nice deep breath in here. We'll abbreviate it on this side. As soon as you finish that last one, we'll find that hold. So after that next inhale, we bring it down. We place that left shoulder on the ground. Once again, same options with the right. The hand can stay right where it is. You can extend it out long if that feels good, or you can lift it up towards the ceiling, bend at that elbow, and bring it around behind the back for that half bind. And the back of my hand is facing my back, so I turn my palm around to face that opposite wall. That helps you kind of visualize what that looks like without having to look back at the screen. And taking a couple nice deep breaths here, finding this nice easy spinal twist. Go ahead and take 2 more. Nice deep inhales and exhales. After you finish those 2, release that half bind if you found it. Bring that hand back down, bring that left arm up, right underneath that shoulder for the wrist. Now, I want to move into something that we will put into our flow later, but I just want to practice the positioning first before we move into it. So making sure, once again, you have pressure through all 10 fingers. Those knees are right underneath the hips, and those wrists are right underneath the shoulders or just slightly out in front if that feels a little bit like tension, to put the wrists right underneath the shoulders. From here, go ahead and curl those toes under. And then we're just going to lift those knees about 2 inches up off of the ground, keeping them right underneath the hips. We're in kind of a bear pose. So a little bit of core work here. So we're really bracing through the core, just like you would if you were up in that downward facing dog. So hopefully it's starting to feel it a little bit. You feel it through the quads, feel it through those shoulders to keep you supported. Make sure you're pulling those shoulder blades apart. Don't let the chest sink down towards the floor. And I want you to really tighten through those abs and feel what this is like in just a little bit of a hold. Next, exhale, nice and gentle. Set those knees down. Take a tiny little break. We're going to do that just one more time. So you need to press back, give those wrists a little break, and then bring them back under those shoulders. One more time, just like that. Curl those toes under, lift those knees into that braced position, keeping it nice and strong from here. And next, exhale, nice and easy. Go ahead and set those knees down. Now we will come into that kind of in the middle of our flow. We'll step into it. So just recognize where you should be with the knees under the hips and all of that as we move forward. Now, to start this off, we're going to bring it into our downward facing dog. So if you give those wrists a roll or two, give them a roll or two, and then press those hips up and back. Maybe you have to walk those feet back a little bit from where they were there. And take just a moment once again in this downward facing dog. Pedal out those heels, feel what a difference it might be for you from the start, or if it's not much of a difference, maybe take an extra second or two, still give yourself that leeway with those bent knees, and pedal out those heels just a little bit here. All right, so how we're going to transition into that bear pose is from a plank. So inhale, lift those hips up nice and high, press the ears between the biceps. Exhale to float those shoulders out over the wrists into our high plank. From here, we're going to step into that bear pose. So I'm going to step my right foot in, keep that toe curled under, knee floats off the floor. Step that second one in, so we're floating them. My knees are 2 inches up off the floor here. Next, exhale, presses those hips up. We're going to shorten to downward facing dog, extend those knees. Now from here, we're going to move into our forward fold. So we have a little bit less of a step than normal. So just step it up so that those feet are right in between those hands. Next inhale is going to roll us all the way up to that extended mountain pose. So bring it up. When you get to the top, taking a second here, that nice extension, maybe you bring those hands a little bit behind the head for a little bit of a mini back bend. Maybe you focus on keeping the neck neutral and lifting those arms up a little bit higher. I know you put out the screen, that's okay. And next exhale, go ahead and fold it forward, all the way down towards the floor. Once again, give yourself that leeway if you need it. Little bend through those knees, totally fine here. Next inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back, long spine. Exhale, presses the fingertips back down towards the floor, rounds out through the spine. We're going to bring it into our chair pose from here. So you can bring those toes a little bit closer together. Feel free to move them towards center. Next inhale, sit those hips back, sweep those arms up. Now, from here, we're going to slide back into our crescent lunge. So I want you to lift that right foot just slightly off the mat, slide it back, and bend through that left knee. Now, that's a little bit challenging. That's okay. Take your time to get into it. Once again, we're going to spend a moment in this. Make sure you have a nice bend through that front knee. Lift those arms up towards the ceiling so the chest opens up. Nice big stretch through that right hip flexor. From here, let's go ahead and turn that right heel down, open those arms up into our warrior two. Flip the front palm, inhale to reverse it. As we exhale, we're going to bring it into our extended side angle. So bring it all the way down, bring that left elbow to that left knee, bring that right arm up over top. Inhale brings us back to that warrior two, up to that nice centered position. And our exhale is going to cartwheel us back down towards the mat into our little lunge. Left hand comes down, right heel comes up, right hand comes down. From here, a little bit of a challenge for you guys. We're going to put pressure through those palms, and our goal, rather than just getting that left foot back to meet the right, is going to be to lift it straight up off the mat if you can. So from here, if you can lift the hips, brace through the core, try to lift that foot up almost into that kind of mountain climber-like pose, and then press it back into that downward facing dog. So we're really challenging ourselves to lift up off of the mat before we slide that foot back a little forward. We are back to the very beginning, so we're going to keep it going. Our next exhale, float those shoulders out over those wrists. In that high plank, we're moving to our bear next. Step that left foot forward, float that knee off the ground. Step that right foot forward, float that knee off the ground. Next exhale, press those hips up, shortened downward facing dog. Step those feet forward to meet the hands into our forward fold. Inhale rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Take those arms up overhead, nice and long. And our exhale folds us forward. Halfway lift next, flat back, long spine, that inhale. Exhale, fold it forward. If you need to walk those toes nice and close together, we're moving into our chair. Inhale, sits the arms up, sits the hips back. Left foot goes back this time. So putting your weight onto your right, lifting that left just slightly, sliding it back, and then lifting the chest. Once again, if that's a little challenging balance-wise, take your time. Next exhale is going to turn us into our warrior two. Bring that left heel down, bring those arms open and wide. Inhale, flips the front palm, reverses it, peaceful. Our exhale brings us into our extended side angle. Right elbow comes down toward that right knee. Left arm comes up over top. Our inhale brings us back to center. Bring those arms up, out nice and long. And then we're going to exhale to cartwheel all the way down. Right hand comes down, left heel comes up, left hand comes down. And here's our little challenge to lift that right foot this time. So plant those hands, maybe lift those hips a little bit if you need to, and try and lift that right foot up before you step it back when you're ready. Take those hips up and back, step that right foot back to meet the left. All right, we're going to keep it going. Next exhale, pulls those shoulders out over those wrists. We're moving into our bear from here. So go ahead and step that one foot forward, step the other foot forward. We're in that nice floating bear pose. Next exhale, press those hips up and back, shortens downward facing dog, and then step those feet forward to meet the hands. Next inhale rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Exhale pulls us forward fold. Oh, did I miss a chair? I missed a chair. That's okay. We're going to find it. Halfway lift. No, I didn't. All right, cool. Losing my mind, you guys. Sorry. Exhale, fold this forward. Okay, here's our chair. This is why I wanted to ask. Inhale, sweeps this up. We're going to hold here for an extra second because we're going to find a spinal twist. From this chair pose, pull those palms together. Bring them down to heart center. Left elbow goes to the outside of that right knee. Spinal twist. Keep those hips down nice and low. Here we go. Inhale takes us back to center. Lifts those arms. Right foot's going to go back into that crescent lunge. Transfer your weight to your left. Slide that right foot back nice and long. Lift the chest. That left quad is burning. That's okay. Lots of support there. Exhale turns us into our warrior two. Right heel comes down, arms come open. Reverse it. Flip the front palm, lift it up and back. Peaceful. Our exhale brings us into our extended side angle. Left elbow comes down toward that right, your left knee. Right arm comes up over top. Next inhale brings us back up to center. Nice and long from fingertip to fingertip. Exhale, cartwheels us down. Left hand comes down. Right heel comes up, right hand comes down. Here's our little challenge, trying to lift that left foot before you bring it all the way back. Try and pick it up off the mat, lift those hips just slightly, and then exhale to press those hips up and back. Plant that foot, downward facing dog. We're going to go through this one more time before we take a little mini break. Inhale, lift those hips up a little bit further. Exhale, float the shoulders out over the wrists. From here, we're moving into our floating bear pose. Step that foot forward, keep that knee up. Step that other foot in, keep that knee up. Next exhale, press those hips up, shorten downward facing dog. Step the feet forward, towards the hands, forward. All right, from here we're going all the way up, extended mountain. Inhale and roll it up. Arms come overhead, nice and long, maybe a little mini back bend. Our exhale folds us forward. Inhale brings us to that halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale folds us forward. Here comes our chair pose. Next inhale, slip those hips back, sweep those arms up. Pull the palms together. We're holding it here. Bring the palms down to heart center. We've got that spinal twist. Right elbow goes to the outside of that left knee, twisting that other direction. Next inhale brings us back to center. Extends those arms up. And then we're bringing it to that crescent lunge. Left foot slides back, right knee stays bent with the chest. Nice. Exhale, brings that left heel down, opens those arms, warrior two. Inhale, lifts us up and back, reverse it, peaceful. Exhale, cartwheels us down, right elbow towards that right knee, left arm up over top, extended side angle. Inhale, brings us back to center, lengthen those arms. This time we're coming all the way down to the mat. Right hand comes down, left heel comes up, left hand comes down. Here's our little lift. Plant those hands, maybe slightly lift those hips, lift that right foot up off of the mat, kind of into our mountain climber. There we go. And then go ahead and take that right foot back to the left. Take those hips up and back. Now, a couple options for our little mini break here. You can keep it right here. If those wrists need a break, but you want to keep that core engaged, you can bring it down to a dolphin, or option to take a nice break in your child's pose. Set those knees down nice and wide. Set those hips back towards the heels. Take a couple of seconds. Reconnect with your breath. Grab a drink if you need it. Just take a moment here. A little quick recovery. I am definitely going to grab a drink. It's nice and toasty in my house today. If you're in that child's pose, maybe take a second once again to walk those hands side to side. Maybe you bend at the elbows and bring the hands to the shoulders. Maybe you place the forehead on the ground and bring the hands around behind the back, opening up through the chest. Just take a second there. If you're in that downward facing dog, maybe you pedal those heels out a couple extra times, move the hips side to side. All right. Now, as part of our break, which is not really a break, we're going to move into some side planks really quickly. So, wherever you are, if you're up, I want you to nice and easy bring the knees down. If you're in that child's pose, I want you to just lift the hips up, bring it back to hands and knees. Now, like I said, this is not quite a recovery, but we're taking this out on the flow. So we're just going to practice our side planks here, give us a couple options. So I am going to take my left foot, and I'm going to turn it towards the outside of my mat. I'm going to take my right foot out to the edge, nice and long. The inside of that foot meets the mat, and my left hand is down. Now, from here, I want you to go ahead and just open up your arms. So we're not in a true side plank yet. Most of your weight's on that left foot if you did it the same direction as me, or your right if you're turned around. But we're in this kind of modified side plank position. Now, first step up from here, if you need a little bit easier of a version of a side plank at any time, you can keep that inside knee down, but you just extend it out a little bit further so that you have a nice long line from the hip or from the knee all the way up to the shoulders. So you're just taking a little bit of the pressure out of that bottom knee. From here, a little extra challenge if you ever need it on the inside of those legs. If you're ready, I want you to lift up that bottom leg, really pull the knees towards each other. Feel what that feels like, a little bit different. And then go ahead and extend that foot out nice and long. Now from here, we're going to do a little transfer. If you need to set the hips down to transfer, feel free. But we're going to transfer the weight onto the bottom foot and lift that top leg very briefly. So left foot is down, right foot just lifts up just for a second. And then our exhale is going to actually turn us over into our plank. So set that right foot down, bring that right hand down, turn it into that plank. Nice and easy, lower towards the ground. And then lift it up into our cobra or our upward facing dog. Nice little stretch here. Exhale brings us down. And then I want you to take just a moment, roll out those wrists. Give them just a couple circles in either direction. Bring those hands back in right outside the chest. Curl those toes under. Press the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Nice and easy, float those knees down, set them onto that mat. Same thing on the other side, and then we'll get back to our flow. So that right foot this time is going to come towards the outside of that mat. That left leg is going to go out nice and long. First option from here, our right hand is down. We're opening up that left arm. First option just extends that right foot out a little bit further so that we've got a little bit less pressure on that right knee, but it's still down. Next option, if you're ready, lift that bottom knee up. Bring those knees together. Next option, extends that foot out long. Same thing here, we've got that little transfer. Those hips need to come down. Take that second. Lift that top leg if you can. Just a moment. Next exhale, sets those left toes down, brings the left wrist down. Nice and easy, lower through your chaturanga. Press up into up dog or cobra. If you need to, set the chest down, give the wrists a couple rolls. If you're ready, press up into downward facing dog. And we're gonna start back with that flow again. We're gonna keep going with the one that we did before. So if you're not there already, go ahead and press those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, presses those hips up just a little bit further. Exhale, close the shoulders out over the wrists. Into our bear pose from here. We're stepping that right foot forward. We're stepping the left foot in to meet it. Exhale, presses the hips up, short hinge dog. Step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands. Forward fold. Inhale, rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Exhale, folds us forward. Halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Fold it forward with that exhale. Really let the spine round into it. Next inhale, flattens the spine, sits the hips back, lifts the chest, chair pose. Pull the palms together, down to heart center, left elbow to that right knee, final twist. Inhale brings us back to center. Extends those arms. We're starting off with that right foot, slide it back into that crescent lunge. Lift the chest. Exhale, turns us into our warrior two. Heel goes down, arms come out. Inhale, reverses it, flip the front palm, lift it up. Extended side angle, exhale brings the left elbow to the left knee, right arm comes up over top. Inhale brings us back up, nice and centered, nice and long. Exhale, cartwheels us down, left hand comes down, right heel comes up, right hand comes down. Here's our little mini lift. Lift that left foot up first, and then press those hips up, and that left comes back to meet the right downward facing dog. We're starting from the beginning. Inhale, lift those hips up a little bit further. Exhale, float the shoulders out over the wrists into our high plank. Step that foot in for our bear pose. Knee floats off the floor. Bring that other foot in to meet. Exhale, presses those hips up, shortens downward facing dog. Step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands, forward fold. Inhale, rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Arms come up overhead. Exhale, swan dives us forward, forward fold. Round out the spine when you get to the bottom. Inhale brings us to our halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale, rounds it out, folds it forward. Chair pose comes next. Our inhale sweeps the arms up, sits the hips back, flattens that spine. Pull those palms together, bring them down to heart center. Right elbow comes to the outside of that left knee, final twist. Inhale brings us back to center. Extends those arms when you get there. Left foot's going back into our crescent lunge this time. Transfer your weight to your right, slide the left back, lift the chest. Take your time if you need to. Next exhale, turns that left heel down, opens those arms, warrior two. Inhale, flips the front palm, reverse it, peaceful. Exhale brings us to our extended side angle, right elbow to the right knee, left arm up over top, nice big stretch here. Inhale brings us back to center. Exhale, cartwheels us all the way back down. Right hand, left heel, left hand. Little lift here, bring that right foot up. Try not to lift those hips too far if you can. And then press that foot back to meet the other, bring it into that full downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna hit at least once more in each direction. I think we'll take a little second after that to transfer. Okay. Inhale, lift those hips up and back. Exhale, floats the shoulders out over the wrists. Bring it into that bear pose. Step those feet in, float those knees off the ground. Exhale, presses those hips up, shortens downward facing dog. Step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands, forward fold. Our inhale rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Our exhale, swan dives us forward, forward fold. Rounding out that spine. Inhale, presses up, halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Exhale, fold this forward. We're bringing it into our chair. Next inhale, sweeps the arms up, sits the hip back, lifts the chest. Pull the palms together, bring them down towards heart center. Right elbow goes to, or left elbow goes to the outside of that right knee. Left to the right. Next inhale brings us back to center. Extends those arms. Slide that right foot back nice and long into our crescent lunge. Lift the chest when you get there. Exhale, turns that right heel down, opens those arms, warrior two. Flip that front palm, lift it up and back, inhale. Exhale brings us forward, extended side angle, left elbow to left knee, right arm up over top. Inhale brings us back up to center. Exhale, cartwheels us down. Left hand, right heel, right hand. Nice and easy, lift that left foot up off of the mat if you can into that mountain climber, and then extend those hips up, press that foot down to meet the right. Inhale, press the hips up a little bit further. Exhale, float the shoulders out over the wrists, high plank position. Step those feet in, bear pose. One foot in, float those knees, bring the other into meet. Exhale, press the hips up, shorten downward dog. Exhale, step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands. Inhale, rolls us all the way up, extended mountain. Exhale, swan dives us forward, forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Fold it forward, round out the spine at the bottom. Take a nice little break here, and next inhale, switch those arms up, sit the hips back, chair pose. Hold the palms together. Bring them down to heart center, right elbow to left knee, spinal twist. Inhale brings us back to center. Extend those arms. Slide that left foot back. Crescent lunge, lift the chest. Exhale, turns that left heel down, opens those arms, warrior two. Inhale, flips the front palm, reverse it. Peaceful. And exhale, back out, nice and long, and then extended side angle. Right elbow to right knee, left arm comes up over top. Inhale brings us back up to center. Exhale, cartwheels us down. Right hand meets the mat, left heel comes up, left hand meets the mat. Here's our little lift. Right foot comes up off the mat, pull it in towards the chest, and then press those hips up, bring that right foot down to meet the left, downward facing dog. Nice and easy here. I want you to just take a second, set those knees down nice and wide, set those hips back towards the heels, child's pose. Now I invite you to hold this, find this nice and easy, or if you would like to continue to move just a little bit, you can find that three-way flow that we started with. So from here, we're pressing those hips forward, we're finding that cobra pose, we're turning those toes over. Left arm comes up over top, nice big lateral stretch here. Inhale brings us through center over to that other side. Same thing one more time each direction. Inhale brings us through center. Exhale to one side. Inhale brings us through center. Exhale, second side. And last time, go ahead and bring it back up to center, nice and long. Our exhale brings us down and around. You can either interlace those hands behind the hips, or you can press the palms towards each other. Inhale to open up through the chest, pull the shoulder blades together. Exhale to release. One more nice deep breath with me here. Inhale brings those arms out and up. Palms meet overhead, and we exhale to pull them down to heart center. As always, we will just take a couple minutes to kind of recenter, refocus, especially after that. And then we'll get moving into our second flow, which will start pretty basic, and then I have a couple little modifications to take it up a notch and challenge you. So since we didn't do it at the beginning, we're going to start off with our spinal twists, nice and easy. So our inhale finds that long spine, and then our exhale is going to take us to one side, nice easy spinal twist. And then with each inhale, go ahead and bring it through center, and then over to that other side. Now, like I said, we won't keep super long in this, so kind of take this at your own pace. Just kind of using this to bring it back to centered, bring it back to where we were for our practice. Give me two more nice deep breaths here, once more in each direction. When you finish those last two, bringing it back to centered, nice long spine. We're going to move into our seated cat and cow. So when you get there, you can bring those hands to the outside of those knees. Our exhale presses that spine back towards that back wall, tucks the chin in towards the chest. Our inhale presses the chest forward and lifts the chin. A little bit of seated cat and cow, just to get it moving once again. Get us going, ready to go. Couple of inhales and exhales here. Awesome. Give me 2 more nice deep breaths in this seated cat and cow. And then we will transition back to our down dog to get moving once again. So after those last 2 breaths, bring that spine back to center. And then, like I said, we're going to transition to our downward facing dog. So I invite you to find a transition that works for you. If you're facing the short edge of your mat, maybe you roll over the knees and press the hips up and back. Maybe you have to turn your face sideways like I do. And since we've already done it a little bit today, I want you to go ahead and curl those toes under and just bring it right up, press those hips up and back, downward facing dog. And I want you to take a moment while we're here to kind of play around with where your balance is in your downward facing dog. So for you, what does a 3-legged dog with the right foot going up and back feel like? What does a 3-legged dog with the left foot feel like? Now, those are kind of natural. We do those a lot in practice, so maybe they don't feel too bad. Then from there, I want you to take those feet a little wider than normal and see what it feels like to try and lift the right hand up off the mat. From there, maybe you're a little unstable, it comes right back down. Try to lift the left. See if that's a little bit easier, a little bit harder. Even if it's just an inch or two, maybe you can just lift the palm slightly up off of the mat. Take a second, play around with where your balance is, what it feels like with your feet a little bit narrower to lift one hand, what it feels like with your feet out of the edges of your mat to lift one hand, hopefully a little bit easier when your feet are narrower. Take about 2 more nice deep breaths in that kind of playing around with it range of motion. All right, from here, we are going to take it into our crescent lunge. So 3-legged dog with that right foot lifted up and back. Bend that left knee, sweep that right foot forward, plant it down. Our next inhale is going to lift us up into our crescent lunge once again, like we did it a couple of times today. Now from here, rather than transitioning to our warrior 2, we're going to find a spinal twist. So I want you to actually take those arms down to either side, so out wide, long from your chest. And then we're going to take the left hand forward over that right knee and the right arm behind. So we're in a nice big spinal twist. Now wherever you are, maybe you're looking at a 45, maybe you've got that full twist, whatever you are, feel how that feels in your balance, feel how that feels in your core. Next exhale brings us back to center and lift those arms back up nice and long. From here, we are going to go up. Exhale, go ahead and pull those hands back down. Take that right foot, bring it back to meet the left, downward facing dog. From here, we've got our low vinyasa flow. Exhale, float those shoulders out over the wrists, from the toes and from the knees. We lower down through our chaturanga. Our inhale presses the chest up, cobra, low cobra, or upward facing dog. Our exhale turns those toes over, presses those hips up and back. From here, we're going to take those feet forward to meet the hands once again into our forward fold. Our inhale lifts us up nice and long to our extended mountain once again. I want you to pull the palms together here. Exhale to pull them down to heart center. Now from here, we're going to go right into that twisted chair that we had in our last flow. So sit the hips back, keep the chest up, take that left elbow to the right side of that knee. Right knee. Nice. Our next inhale brings us back up to those long arms. Keep those hips down. Exhale pulls us forward. Step those feet back, downward facing dog. All right, so we're going to do that one more time on the other side before we take that challenge into it. So from here, 3-legged dog brings that left foot up and back. Sweep it forward, bend that right knee into that crescent lunge. Our inhale brings those arms up nice and long. From here, we've got our spinal twist. Take the hands out nice and long in either direction. Then take that right hand forward and that left hand back for our big spinal twist here in our crescent lunge. Next inhale brings us back to center. Lifts those arms up nice and long. And then our exhale pulls us forward. Take that left foot back to meet the right, downward facing dog. And then we've got our low vinyasa flow. Exhale floats the shoulders out over the wrists from the toes of the knees. We lower through our chaturanga. Keep the elbows nice and close. Inhale, presses the chest up, brings those toes over. Exhale, presses the hips up and back, downward facing dog. From here, we're bringing it to our forward fold. So step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands. Our inhale brings us all the way up to that extended mountain. Palms are going to meet overhead. As we exhale, we're gonna pull it into our twisted chair. So those hips sit back, the right elbow comes to the outside of that left knee. We stack the hands on top of each other. Next inhale keeps us in that chair, but lifts those arms up nice and long, hands through the floor. Exhale, folds us forward, lift the hips. Plant the hands, step it back, downward facing dog. All right, so the reason we play with our balance a little bit is my little challenge is gonna keep our one hand off of the floor. So I'm going to start with that right hand. If you feel comfortable lifting that right hand off of the floor, I want you to do it here. If you do not, you will do the exact same flow that we just did. We'll keep moving in it. If you still feel comfortable with that hand lifted, I want you to reach it back in between those feet. So as long as you can, back, lifting those hips up nice and long. Now from here, we're going to take it to our crescent lunge same way, but we're skipping that three-legged dog. So the hands on the mat, bring it to our three-legged dog. We're going to slide that right foot forward while trying to keep that right hand lifted. So you're kind of bringing it out into our plank and stepping that right foot forward into our low lunge. Right hand then opens up into our nice spinal twist. So left hand is on the floor, right hand opens up. Nice. Now, two options from here. You can bring that hand down and lift it up, or you can lift it straight up, use your core to bring it into that kind of twisted spinal position for our crescent lunge. If that doesn't feel comfortable, put that hand down, lift it up, open the arms, twist it out. Nice. Awesome job, you guys. We're bringing it back to center. So bring that right hand forward, lift those arms. Nice exhale, folds us forward. Right foot goes back to meet the left, downward facing dog, low vinyasa flow, same as normal. Exhale, flips the shoulders out over the wrists, toes or knees through chaturanga. Inhale, presses the chest up, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, turns the toes over, hips go up and back. We step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands into our forward fold. Our inhale brings us all the way to our extended mountain. Palms come together, we bring it into that twisted chair. Exhale, sits the hips back, pulls the hands to heart center, left elbow goes to the outside of that right knee. Nice, keeping it in that chair, we're gonna lift back to center. Our inhale brings those arms up, keeps those hips sitting back. Our exhale folds us forward, lift the hips, forward fold. Maybe slight bend through those knees, step those feet back, downward facing dog. All right. So same thing once again, we're just switching sides. This time that left hand. So I'm gonna take my feet a little bit wider, a little bit less stable on that right side, lifting my left hand, pressing it back towards those feet if I can. So we're finding this a little bit of a balance pose, really bracing through the core. This time left foot comes forward. So once again, if those hands are down, three-legged dog. If that hand is up, slide that left foot forward into that lunge. When you get there, we've got a spinal twist. Lift the left arm up, plant the right hand. From here, two options. You can bring the left hand down and lift and twist, or you can cartwheel it right up into that twisted crescent lunge position. Either way, we're ending up over here, facing over that leg, that front leg. Next inhale, sweeps that left arm forward, brings those arms up, crescent lunge. Exhale, folds us forward, plant the hands, left foot goes back to meet the right, downward facing dog. We've got our low vinyasa flow here. Exhale, flips the shoulders out over the wrists, from the toes to the knees. Keep the elbows close, forward through chaturanga. Inhale, presses the chest up. Cobra up dog. Exhale, turns the toes over, hips go up and back. Downward facing dog. Step or jump those feet forward to meet the hands, forward fold. Inhale brings us all the way up, extended mountain. Pull the palms together. Twisted chair, right elbow to the outside of that left leg as we sit the hips back and pull the hands down. We twist it to that one side, stack those palms on top of each other. Next inhale, keeping those hips low, lift the arms and bring it back to center into that chair. And then we exhale to take it forward, forward fold with those hips. Step those feet back, nice and long, downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna do this just one more time on each side. So, same two options. You can find that lifted hand. You can find both hands. If we're starting with that lifted hand, that right hand comes up and back towards those feet first. When you get there, press backwards just a little bit further with that inhale, and then our exhale sweeps that right foot forward into that crescent lunge. Inhale sweeps us into that spinal twist. That right hand opens up, that left hand comes to the floor. Next, from here, same two options. You can bring the hand down and lift, or you can cartwheel it right up into that twist. Wherever you are is totally fine. Either way, that left arm ends up forward, that right arm ends up backward. Nice. Exhale, sweep that right arm forward, bring it up into that crescent lunge. Good work, you guys. Exhale, folds us forward, plants the hands, step that right foot back to meet the left, downward facing dog. Low flow, shoulders come out over those wrists. High plank, through chaturanga to low from the toes or knees. Inhale, presses the chest up, turns the toes over. Exhale, hips go up and back. Downward facing dog. Nice bend through those knees, step or jump the feet forward to meet the hands. Forward fold. Inhale, lifts us all the way up, extended mountain. Pull the palms together. As we exhale, twisted chair, left elbow to the outside, that right knee, sit those hips back. Inhale, brings the chest up tall, lifts those arms. Exhale, folds us forward, lift the hips. Step those feet back, downward facing dog. All right, last time through here, stick with me, and then we're cooling it down. Lift that left arm, if you're ready to lift that hand, bring it back in between those feet. Lift the hips up a little bit higher, and then we're sweeping that left foot forward into our crescent lunge. When you get there, right hand stays down, left arm opens up, spinal twist. Same two options as before. You can recenter, or you can inhale, brace through the core to lift up. It's getting harder. Next exhale, take that left hand, sweeps it forward, lifts the chest, crescent lunge. Exhale, folds us forward, plants those hands, left foot goes back to meet the right, downward facing dog. You can opt out of this low flow if you would like. However, exhale, float those shoulders out over those wrists. From the toes or knees, chaturanga lowers us down. Inhale, presses the chest up. Exhale, turns those toes over. Everyone meets in that downward facing dog. Awesome job, you guys. That was tough, way to work. I am definitely sweating. All right, option here to bring it to child's pose. Option to keep it right where it is. Option to still keep that core engaged, lower those elbows into our dolphin. I want you to take about 3 or 4 nice deep breaths in any of those poses that you so choose to recover in. My wrists need a little bit of a break. All right. Got about 4 minutes left here. Nice big exhale and nice easy lower those knees if they're not already on the ground. Flip the hips back towards the heels into that child's pose. We've got that tri-directional flow that we started with here. So from here, our next inhale presses those hips forward and down towards the mat. And then once again, cobra or low cobra. You can bring the chest up tall, or you can lower all the way down to just lift to that nice low cobra, baby. Exhale, turns the toes over. You can either shift back towards the knees or straight up from there into our downward facing dog. Twice more through, just like that. Our exhale, nice and easy, sets those knees down, sits those hips back, child's pose. Inhale, presses the hips forward, cobra or baby cobra. Turn the toes over from the knees or from right here. Press those hips up and back. Brace through the core, downward facing dog. Last time through, nice and easy. Exhale, floats those knees down, presses the hips back towards the heels. Hips sink forward, cobra or low cobra. Turn the toes over, you can press back through the knees or right from here, hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and walk those feet into the hands. Forward fold. Take just a second here, catch your breath, take it nice and easy. Maybe give those wrists a couple of rolls in either direction. Maybe you find the opposite elbow with the opposite hand. Float nice and easy side to side. Next inhale, I want you to find that halfway lift and a nice flat back and a long spine. Take a second, really find that opening through the chest toward that front wall. Next exhale, pulls us back forward. And finally, inhale to roll us up. Extended mountain. Exhale brings those arms down and around. One final nice deep breath. Inhale brings us out and up. Pulls the palms together. Exhale brings them down to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your Monday evening with me. I know those were two challenging flows, so I hope you enjoyed them. The light in me honors the light in you, bowing as we say namaste.